Do this to this. That's what I say. Hi, everybody. Pugs Moran. Welcome in the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful south side of Chicago. We are here live every day at noon on Radio Misfits, radiomisfits.com, YouTube, Facebook, wherever. I don't know. Twitch coming soon. Rumble. We're gonna expand. We got to. I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts. What I don't have is a lot of follow through. Always been my problem. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Hot topics, current events, real talk for the working class. No partisan bullshit. I don't care how you voted. You shouldn't care how I voted. Let's just talk about the world, huh? I don't pay attention to politics. So anything that I feel isn't going to be something like I heard on MSNBC. I shouldn't say, it's not that I don't pay attention to politics. It's hard not to pay attention to politics, especially when you're a news junkie like myself. What I don't pay attention to is propaganda. I don't pay attention to any of the bullshit that comes from either party. Hell, I've been telling you now for the better part of a year that I no longer have any faith in any of our institutions. And an example of that is coming today, but we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about the king and the queen, and I'm talking about Charles and Camilla, right? Not Trump and Melania, although, they might want you to believe that they are the same, but they're not. Look, I got issues. I'm an Irishman. I got issues with the king to begin with, but okay, so we're going to delve into that. We're going to play some clips and all that good stuff. What else are we going to talk about today? Hold on, let me look at my stuff. I got fun stuff, man. We got good stuff to talk about today. The Comey indictment. Seashells, she shells by the she. We'll get into the Comey indictment. Not a whole lot, because again, politics. But my God. All right. So we'll talk about that. What else are we going to do? Here's something. And it goes with the whole, this is fun. This will be a fun little segment that we'll do today. And I think you'll all be very interested because I know that I am. So it goes along with the she shows Comey by the seashore, right? The seashells tweet that Comey put out there. 86. So right now, there's a whole lot of discussion about what is the etymology of that phrase. You're going to 86 something. So I love word and phrase etymologies, right? So we're going to get into the etymology behind 86, and then we're also going to go through some of our most common throwaway phrases, things that we say all the time, and I'm going to blow your mind with where they actually come from and what they mean. So that'll be fun. Sky News doing the heavy lifting on all the stories that America doesn't want to deal with, like Sky News looking into the Secret Service shooting incident at the Hilton there in Washington over the weekend. They've got a nonpartisan, non-bullshit American view of what happened. And boy, they put out a blockbuster report yesterday. We'll talk about that because I happen to agree. Anyway, I'm also going to tell you about a story. This is going to be probably the big chunk story, right? Every day I like to kind of do one story that we're really going to get into. And we're going to revisit something that I talked about a month ago. And I was kind of banging the table about a month ago. And now I'm going to talk about it again. And stay tuned because you'll be like, oh, yeah, I remember whatever happened with that. Well, my God, stay tuned. So we're going to talk. I don't understand why. Well, maybe I do understand why it's not the biggest story in America, because there are, quite frankly, a lot of big stories happening in America that people are paying attention to. But in quieter times, I'll tell you about that story when we're coming up coming up later today. What else do we have here? We're going to do a little pop culture conversation based on something that I saw. The very talented and funny and just, my God, I wish I had backing. I don't think he's better than me. I just think he's got the backing, and he just, I don't know, was in the right place at the right time while I was still trying to get radio jobs. I don't know. Well, ESPN helped. Very talented, Bill Simons. I don't know if you're a fan of his, but he does incredible digital content creation and all that. He posted something from one of his primary podcast. This isn't his primary podcast. I don't know, whatever. He does a lot of content. He posted something where he made the argument that the year 1984 was the most significant pop culture year in modern American history. And I thought his case was very interesting. but he's wrong. And I'll explain why. So we'll do a whole pop culture kind of thing, and then another thing we're going to dive into here, because I've caught this story last night. I shared it on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. If you follow me there, Pugs Moran. It concerns Anthony Kiedis of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Anthony Kiedis, famous for his decades-long feud with my former partner Kelly Moore, the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. That's right. She got into it with Anthony Kiedis in the lobby of some hotel in Vegas once in like the mid-90s. And oh my God, she never let it go. Anyway, Anthony Kiedis has a girlfriend that's like super young, and everybody's like, oh, he's got a young girlfriend, right? And, you know, all of these commentaries and all of these little snipes are coming from people who follow Donald and Melania. So what are you people? We're going to talk about age differences. We're going to go through a list of some of the most significant Hollywood age differences, and we'll talk about what that really means. I am somebody who has dated, and I married a woman. My son's mother was significantly younger than me. She was in her early 20s when I was in my mid to late 30s. Okay, I'm hedging it a little. When we got married, when we had Mason, my son. So I do have a perspective on it. I have the perspective that wise people told me before. I have the perspective that I now hold as somebody who has been through it. So we'll talk about age differences in romance. Also, we got some fun videos. We're going to break down that fight from Globe Life Field the other day. This big fight, Yankees, Rangers, it went viral. Went viral all over the world. Well, baseball world anyway. Big fight, Yankees, Rangers in the stands, Globe Life there in Arlington the other night. We're gonna break that fight down. We're gonna figure out what's going on here. Some bad choices were made, and I'm not talking about just to start the fight in general. I'm talking about during the fight, some bad choices. All right. So first of all, let's say hello to all the people in the chat room. All right, and let's reward our platform today. Ladies and gentlemen, just like the F1, Formula One racing, we like to award a platform for every show. These are the first three people who appear in the chat room. First place, second place, third place. Let's say hello to our winner today. It is Peter. Peter is 1. Congratulations. Taronda is 2. She's back on the podium. Then we skip over Maddie because she's a part of the show. And we should honestly skip over April too, because April's part of the show. April's like, in charge of the chat room. She is who any shit goes down in the chat room. April's the one that I will listen to. So let's give it to Barney. Barney, he's just a chat room regular, but a good friend and a supporter of the show. So, all right, there you have it. April, are you mad? April's like, look, I don't get anything out of this. All I get is like him saying that I'm in charge of the chat room, but there's nothing out of this. Can I at least get a platform? April, if that's how you feel, then yeah, you can have the platform. I don't know. You and Barney figure it out. Thank you all. Thank you to everybody. Let's say, who else do we have in here? I mentioned Fat Fingers. Fat Fingers. Sorry, guys. Hide. We're going to. Okay. Don't like that. Sorry, guys. My keyboard is too small for my big fat fingers. I don't want to add a source. Is this? Yeah, we'll do this. And we're fixed. All right. There we go. All right. First, let me address the elephant in the room, okay? Let me scan the chat room. Let me see if anybody noticed the elephant in the room. There we go. Somebody noticed. Barney. Congratulations, Barney. Barney says, Tom, I'm going to take this as a win. He's going to say Beard is on point today. Little story here to start the show off. So maybe some of you remember when I had the big epiphany last summer that I was going to start coloring my beard because I was at a Kroger and I looked up at the monitor and I saw fucking Santa Claus looking back at me and I was like, oh my God, I don't even realize how old my beard makes, because I like my beard, but my beard, because it was coming in significantly white started to make me feel and look, just when I caught glimpses of it, much older than how I feel. So that's when I started coloring my beard. I did a good job. I like people compliment it all the time. They're like, oh, it looks really good. I don't know that it looks abnormal normally. But anyway, it's good. You know, when people don't notice, it's good. Today, I knew people were going to notice. And do you want to know why? Do you want to know why people notice? Because last night, I changed it up a little. Y'all know about my affinity for the Dollar Tree store. I love the Dollar Tree store. You can find shit in Dollar Tree stores if you know what to look for, like coffee, like boutique coffee. I shouldn't keep saying that. Well, you're all in Texas. Go ahead. Buy all the good boutique coffee from Texas Dollar Tree stores. So normally, the everyday man's man beard product grooming, you know, if you got a beard and all that shit, you buy the grooming products. Normally, the everyday stuff that I would purchase would be just for men. I get it from Target, Walmart, CVS, whatever, just for men. It ranges in price between, $9.99 and $12.99, depending on where you are. And you get about, 3 or 4, treatments out of it. So it's not a crazy expense. But I'm at the Dollar Tree. And I'm just in the beauty aisle because deodorant and body wash and all that. You got to get that stuff at the Dollar Tree. Why are you paying $5 for a bottle of body wash? Anyway. So I noticed that the Dollar Tree is now selling men's beard dye for $1.25. I'm like, $1.25? Now I love me a bargain. You know that. So I look at it and I'm going through it. I'm rifling through it. And unfortunately, I'm a just for men light brown guy. Just for men light brown, a little bit of auburn if I can get that, whatever. I can pretty much match it perfectly to my eyebrows, which is the goal, because you want your eyebrows are what your natural color is, right? So I can usually match it pretty perfectly to my eyebrows. And I like to keep a little salt and pepper. So the light brown kind of keeps the salt. I like a little. I don't need to be walking around looking like a 30-year-old. I mean, this is a 30-year-old's beard. This is not. So unfortunately, at the Dollar Tree, they didn't have light brown. All they had was brown. And I figured, well, how different can light brown and brown be? Well, this is how different. I now have the beard of a 30-year-old. So thank you, Barney. Thank you for noticing. Another thing that Barney just said, 1985 is the year. Barney knows exactly what I'm going to say. Bill Simonson argues that 1984 is the most significant year in modern American pop culture history. And I thought that was true, and I discovered it was wrong. And is it 1985? Did he miss it by a year? Let's find out. We'll do that later today. Let's see here. All right, we're back. All right, there we go. All right, let's see. Adam says, you always throw me off when you say Bill Simons. It's Bill Simmons with 2 M's. Shut up. Shut up. I don't need that from a guy who doesn't know what a male and a female is, okay? I don't need you, Adam. Adam and I are both fans of him. Let's see here. All right. How do we do that? What about effing Kid Rock addressing the military? Jen says. Are you talking about the little trip that he took with Pete Hegseth in his little, little helicopter ride a couple of days ago? Or did he do something else? I have no room for Kid Rock. I can't. Had a heavy night with my kid last night. I got no room for Kid Rock, man. Just don't. Let's see here. Anybody else in the chat room? I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Byron's here. Got to say hello. Hello, Byron. Hello. Leslie C. All right. Hello, Leslie. There you go. All right. Let's see. What are we going to do here today? What are we getting? I explained the beard. I explained the weirdness with the beard. Look, it ain't Ryan Day weird. Do you guys know who Ryan Day is? Ryan Day is the head football coach there at the Football School of Ohio State University. Here, let me show you Ryan Day. Ryan Day does bad beard shit. First of all, how old is Ryan Day? How old is Ryan Day? 47. He's 47. Yeah, he's full of shit. He's full of shit. Here, Ryan Day colors his beard, and I think he goes with a way too dark color. Let me give you an example. This doesn't look natural. Sometimes. Although now I'm seeing pictures of him where he's letting the salt and pepper come in. I get that. Here, as I got my Ryan Day beard going. Give me a good example of how black it is. All right, here it is. All right, here we go. Here's Ryan Day. See, now this is a man who colors his beard, and apparently because he's an important football coach, nobody can say to him, hey, dude, you need to go down one color. That's Ryan Day. His beard is way too black for an almost 50-year-old man. I don't want that. Yeah, we guys with beards, we notice other dudes' beards. We notice what they're doing. We're always looking for the latest in beard innovation. I'll tell you something, facial hair innovation. I noticed something while I was trimming everything up, and I'm kind of excited about it. For the first time in my life, look at this. Hold on, I don't know if you can see this. Oh, it's got to be this side. Yeah, because I shaved the other side. So I was actually, I shaved it all down. That's right. Anyway, I had a mustache, if I wanted it, that could have gone all the way to here. And I was like, I should shave the beard and just do one of those Snardly Dish Dash, or remember that bad guy from the cartoons? Snively Dish Dash, whatever that guy's name. I can do one of those. I can have one of those spam risk. No respect. You know what? I'm never going to pay you people because that is just disrespectful for you to not know when I'm on the air. All right, what do you say we get started here? Let's see. We had the royals in town, King Charles and Princess Camilla, Queen Camilla. Shut up. What is she? Is she a full-bodied queen? I thought because she was a Hua, she couldn't be a full... And the British royals, they consider anybody divorced to be a Hua. Their king is divorced. Their king is a Hua. So I don't know. Like, so here's the deal. I don't know if you know this backstory or not. I don't know if you're like part gay the way I am. I'm part gay, and it shows up in the... Like, I'm not sexually or anything like that because, again... I don't think it'll work, but I'm fascinated by the royals. I'm fascinated by the royals, and I'm fascinated by mid-2000s Real Housewives. The mid-2000s Real Housewives with New Jersey and all that before they all went to jail. Oh, so those are the things that make me partly gay. Things that I'm interested in. But again, not sexually because I don't think it's a choice. I don't know how it could be a choice. I don't know. Because let me tell you, if gay for pay was an option, it would be something that I would probably consider, but I just don't think my plumbing would work. There's no way. There's no way. Anyway, Queen Camilla, she was okay, so like going all the way back to when they were like, let's pretend like Prince Charles or went to a normal high school. So they were like, when they were teenagers, they were a thing. They were an item. But then she got married off, or she got hooked up, like her family, Camilla's family, the Bowles family, or was it the Parker family? I don't know, whatever. Her family, like, didn't think that Prince Charles was going to choose her. So her family, like, basically married her off to another nobility family. Yeah, this is like in the 80s. This is like in the 70s. This shit's still going on. Anyway, so she went off and she married this Bowles character, and she became Camilla Parker Bowles, the former girlfriend of Prince Charles. But then Prince Charles, he married Diana Spencer, and you know, why not? She was much more attractive. Although, let me tell you this, in the television show, that Netflix show, The Queen, is called The Queen or The Crown or The Royals, whatever. You know, it's the one that won all the awards. It's the good one on Netflix. If you watch that, and I'll tell you this without question, the two coolest royals are Camilla and Anne. That's right, Princess Anne, Prince Charles's sister, and Camilla, the the former girlfriend of Prince Charles. They're the coolest characters out there. She's cool. The person who played the characterization of Camilla in that series was that Camilla was a cool chick who was just like, oh, whatever, I don't need this bullshit. But here's the thing. So the whole time that Charles is with Diana, he's still with Camilla. They're like secretly like hanging out. Anyway, it became a whole thing. And then they got divorced, Charles and Diana. And a lot of it had to do with Camilla. And then Camilla was never going to get to be queen. And how did he make this choice? And they can never. And now she's queen. And now she's queen. And nobody questions it. Right? Another example of how everything in this world is a freaking construct, people. It's all just a construct. It's all just a thing because somebody says that's a thing. But then if somebody changes their mind, it's not a thing anymore. Camilla could never be queen. She's Queen Camilla now. Okay? Shut up. So I'm fascinated with the royals from the standpoint of the soap opera of it all. But on a very intellectual level, I reject the whole concept. I reject the whole broken concept that those people are somehow anointed by God to rule over this united kingdom. It's nonsense, especially since one of your kings just decided that they were going to go with a new God and start his own religion a couple hundred years ago. You guys it's insane over there. And this freaking family, the Hohenzollerns, Habsburgs, whatever the fudge this actual royal family of England is, because they ain't English, they're German. They had to change their name when Hitler became, or maybe it was World War I. It was World War I. They had to change their name. Their official, the royal family of England had to change their last name during World War I because it sounded too German. And the English people were like, your people are bombing us and we're calling you king. So they changed it. Anyway, what's my point? My point is this. It's all a fraud. It's all a big guy. It's Disney. It is England's version of Disney, okay? Here in America, we have Disney theme parks, and people travel from all over the world to go and pretend that they live in this Disney world. Oh, it's the world of Disney. This is real. No, it's not. That's what the royal family is for England. The Mickey Mouse. It's Mickey and Minnie Mouse. Let's go see the Queen. Let's go stand outside the gates. That's all. So they keep it going because it's a good brand, I guess. You know, we got a king and queen that goes all the way back to Arthur. Not Arthur. Arthur wasn't real. King Arthur wasn't real. Alfred. We have an unbroken line of English kings since Alfred. No, you don't. Your current people, they're not even English. Your current people are German. So it's nonsense, but we all pretend, right? This is the construct that we all pretend. Oh, they're special. Unlike the Pope, who truly is special and anointed from God in an unbroken chain that dates all the way back to Jesus himself. The King and Queen of England are just nonsense. So they did this thing in the Rose Garden. I'm just going to play some. Look, we're going to watch some videos of it. I don't have any. What am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to have a political opinion. Nothing nonsense happened, right? We didn't have. Oh, wait a second. How did I hate when I use video from Twitter. All right, never mind. There was a really funny video that is no longer available. It was a funny video of a reception line. And is it a Rose Garden anymore? Or is it an Applebee's now? There's like a reception line there at the White House. And you see King Charles. I'm old, Prince Charles. You see King Charles and Queen Camilla, and they're working the line. They're shaking hands with all the members of the cabinet. So it's Prince Charles shaking hands with Pete Hegseth, Camilla shaking hands with Pete Hegseth, and King Charles is now on to Marco Rubio. And they're working their way down the line. And out of nowhere, Trump comes and just bodies them all. He cuts in front of all of them, the king and the queen, and he starts shaking the hands of his own damn cabinet. It was funny. It was a funny video because it was a little clumsy, petty, but fun petty. Like, oh my God, look at him. He didn't give a shit about that guy being king. He just threw an elbow. He just elbow checked the king in the garden. So we don't have that. Anyway, the king, he had some things to say. First, he talked to Congress, I believe the second royal Second royal ever to come and address Congress was King Charles yesterday. He had this to say, a reminder for those of us who act like NATO has never done a damn thing for the United States. There was look at all these kiss asses. Better not be an elected Irishman standing.
In the immediate aftermath of 9/11, when NATO invoked Article 5 for the first time, and the United Nations Security Council was united in the face of terror, we answered the call together, as our people have done so for more than a century, shoulder to shoulder, through 2 world wars, the Cold War, Afghanistan, and moments that have defined our shared security. Today, Mr. Speaker, that same unyielding resolve is needed for the defense of Ukraine and her most courageous people.
Woo! All right. Look at that liberal king caring about people who are being oppressed by the much more powerful Putin armada. Look at him. Look at Schumer. Retire, all of you people.
It is needed in order to secure a truly just and lasting peace.
All right, there you go. There he was. He was talking about how, everybody talking shit, especially Trump. I mean, it didn't seem like the king was very concerned about ruffling the feathers of Donald, because the king knows that he's going to be king until he dies, and Donald is going to be president until the Democrats can win back the Senate, which could be, 9 months. Who knows? But he gone. You better believe it. So that was interesting. That was just the king reminding some of the partisan people there when they so freely slam NATO as being a do-nothing. The only time NATO ever activated that Article 5, which is what NATO is based on, the coming together of nations, if one is attacked, all is attacked, that whole idea. The only time they've ever really done that is with the United States and for the United States after 9/11. It's a big reminder because people act like that's nothing. That's not nothing. There were no questions asked. We were attacked and NATO was like, let's go, kick some ass. He also made some jokes. The fancy dinner there that they had, he had some jokes. That's right. They're writing jokes for him. King Charles up there. King Charles was surprisingly to me because, like I said, I told you, I'm part gay in that I know a whole lot about the royal family. But the knock on King Charles and Prince Charles before him was that he was awkward, and that he was never going to be able to control the room like his mother, which is absolute bullshit. His mother wasn't a charismatic. His mother was the queen for 100 years, and anything she did wasn't questioned, and it's perfect. It's terrible by modern standards. The way the queen communicated is terrible by modern standards, and yet she was held up as something that Charles would never equal. Well, that's kind of bullshit because Charles seems to be good with a couple of glasses of wine in him in a speech, right? Here he is.
This said, our French friends can feel equally at home with a glance at a map. Indeed, you recently commented, Mr. President, that if it were not for the United States, European countries would be speaking German. Dare I say that if it wasn't for us, you'd be speaking French.
Look at that. All right. And Trump was a good sport about it. See, Trump's willing to take a little ribbing from the King of England. You see Trump there in the front row? He's laughing. He's like, okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like seeing him like that. What else does he have here? All right, here we go. Here's another joke from King Charles yesterday at the White House official state dinner for King Charles and Queen Camilla. What was this joke on? Let's see. All right, we'll watch this one too. He's not bad. He's not terrible.
Heart of your democracy.
Yeah.
It is a particular pleasure to be back in this wonderful building, the heart of your democracy. On this occasion, I cannot help noticing the readjustments to the East Wing, Mr. President.
Oh, ballroom jokes.
Following your visit to Windsor Castle last year. And I'm sorry to say that we British, of course, made our own small attempt at real estate redevelopment of the White House in 1814.
Oh, that's gross. That whole room is gross. Just a bunch. Remember yesterday when I told you that I'd read something from somebody and I just thought, man, that is a really smart way of looking at it. Somebody tweeted yesterday that the entirety of Earth is just a fancy exclusive resort for 500 people. And the other 8 billion of us, we just work at that resort. That's what this world is. Well, these people in this room, those are some of the 500 that we all work for, that we all fetch coffee for, that we all struggle to make a massage appointment for at the last minute. Just laughing. They're also with their gold fucking goblets. And it's nice, and it's presented as nice, and we see it as this, and, you know, on the surface, our reaction to it should be, that's nice, isn't that fun? They're just having fun. No, man, all the kings and queens in the White House for only the second time. Yeah, there's a reason for that. We don't do kings and queens. England, we fought a war. Well, actually, you know, that's another thing. I just finished up within the last couple of weeks, the whole Ken Burns Revolution thing, and now I got a whole new perspective on that war. And that's why the crazy right didn't like that Ken Burns documentary, because it kind of did a deep dive on actually what happened with that war. We didn't win that war. I am convinced now. We did not win the revolution. So much as the English just went, what are we doing? What is the point here? And they went and fought 3 other wars that they were involved in. But, you know, we tell ourselves that we beat back the British. No, what we did was we survived long enough for it to become economically unstable for them to continue. And they went, fine, you can have it. But we should be proud that we stood up to them. That's the thing. See, the thing about being American isn't the actual X's and O's and stats. We're not doing a post-mortem on who died, who lived. No, we stood up. We, as a people, we saw the oppression and we stood up and we said no. And the cards fell the way we needed them to, and we won, and now we're the greatest country that God ever created. And we're drinking out of gold goblets and toasting to the King of England, the descendant, not even a descendant. Is he a descendant? Yeah, I think he is. I think this actual kingly family, I think this is a direct descendant of King George, who was, you know, obviously German, because that was a thing back then. All right, what else do we have? That's it. That's it. Again, this is a distraction. And hey, you know what? Credit where credit is due, because I left the show yesterday saying I'm sure we're going to talk about some crazy, weird, awkward situation that is now an international incident. Because, you know, Trump decided to put the King of England on a spot, and the King of England has to behave like a king and not worry about what the president says. And he's not going to kiss ass the way other people kiss ass. And every time the president has found himself with somebody who refuses to kiss ass, it becomes a problem. You got to go get J.D. Vance and bring him in to ask the hard questions. That's what's happened. We've seen it. So we were worried about that. But no, man, the king, I imagine that the king throughout his life has had to put up with great numbers of insufferable people. So, you know, he probably knows how to be diplomatic, I suppose. All right, now let's talk about the Comey situation, because that's another big thing that's going on. And this is just jeez. All right. So here. So a year ago, just about a year ago now, right? So about a year ago, who is Comey? Well, he's the former director of the FBI, right? Boy Scout, you know, Mueller's, you know, heir apparent. Comey and Mueller, they're evil. I don't know. Again, I don't watch Newsmax, so I don't have like pollution in my brain when it comes to these people. What I have is a pretty fair and balanced opinion that both Robert Mueller and James Comey are just fucking bureaucrats, man. Professional civil servants who are probably a lot smarter than most people. I mean, you look at both of their track records and it's just filled with, like, you know, cum laude and Harvard and all this shit. But they're just civil servants. They work under multiple different partisan administrations. So whatever. Okay, but they're evil, right? Because they investigated and now they said nasty things about Trump. They suggested that Trump was involved in nasty things. Come on, that's really why we destroy. Mueller dies and Trump's like, I'm glad he's dead. And now, Melania's like, but Jimmy Kimmel. Fuck you people. You people have no credibility. So here is a post that James Comey made a year ago, 8647. This is the origin for the whole entomology bit that we're going to do. James Comey arranged a bunch of seashells a year ago that said 8647. Get rid of 47. I guess 86 in some circles is referred to killing somebody. I don't have off the top of my head any example that I could say of how 86 is 86 him, but where? Like, where is that? What movie is that from? You know what I can tell you though? 86ing things does not mean killing things. 86ing things mean it's a entomology. Here we go. Entomology. I've known this one for years. This is easy. Anybody who has ever worked in restaurants or in the service industry knows that 86 means to nix, means to cancel an order. It means to, well, I suppose you could use it more colorfully to say, we're going to 86 those eggs, and then we're going to 86 you, right? But the actual meaning is to cancel. Now, here's the etymology on it. 86 is believed, the term 86, using it as 86 this, or where it became popular, which was in soda fountains in America in the 1920s. It is believed that an 86ing an order in a soda fountain in the 1920s meant we're canceling that order. Soda fountains worked very quickly, so they needed to create a jargon. What does 86 mean and where does it come from? Well, it is a combination of German and English immigrants. Okay? German immigrants in the words that they use and the English immigrants in the Cockney slang style. Now, if you know anything about the Cockney slang style, it's a rhyming way of talking that Cockney people use. I couldn't even give you an example of it because it's so fucking weird, but you'll see it in movies like Snatched. It's a way of rhyming. It's a way of saying something like, isn't she, or that's a real bluebird you got there, right? They'll say, that's a real bluebird you got there. Cockney. That's a real bluebird. What does that mean? Well, bluebird is rhyming slang for beautiful girl. Bird is slang in England for girl. Bluebird then in Cockney means beautiful girl. Don't even try and figure it out. I've tried to figure out Cockney slang. You can go on YouTube and you can just go Cockney slang and you'll see people try and do it. It's insane. In German, the word nix means to stop, to cancel. Nix means to cancel, okay? Nix. That's where nix comes from. It's the German word for cancel. So when German soda fountain owners, and this is where the etymology comes from, German soda fountain owners employing young Cockney immigrants, British immigrants to America, the German owners would say nixe, meaning nix, to end, cancel, and the Cockney version of that became 86. 86 means nix in Cockney slang. That's where it comes from. Okay? So knowing that, I think is important because you're starting to see how disingenuous this Justice Department is. You're starting to see why I say I have no faith in any institutions anymore. That is not what that means. Okay? What he was saying was, let's cancel him. Let's get rid of him. Let's end him. It's not a direct threat on the president's life in any way, shape, or form. In the fact that the Justice Department is being weaponized in this sense, it's so desperate. And it's so silly and it's humiliating. And I look at people like Todd Blanche and I look at the desperation on the face of Kash Patel. And now we're going to hear Pam Biondi talking to Congress openly now, not in the administration, about the Epstein file. We're Todd Blanche is desperately trying to be named the permanent attorney general. Why he wants that gig in this administration, I have no idea. But Todd Blanche is the interim attorney general who has taken over for Pam Biondi. Todd Blanche, Trump, Trump is like, well, show me why I should make you. So Todd Blanche is now trying to impress the corrupt president of the United States by weaponizing the Justice Department. And that, because we're in such a fucking twisted time, is how this guy is going to be the number one law enforcer in the land. It's absurd. There isn't a single man. I was going to show you clips and all this stuff, and I'm like, no, let me just show them. There's too many of them. There isn't a single person. I don't think there's a single person. Well, maybe if you go to that Real Donald Trump News channel, you ever seen that? Real American News or whatever it is. Oh, is that insane? Holy fuck, is that nuts? Anyway, maybe over there, they've got an attorney who is saying, I can totally see how this case is gonna, maybe over there. I don't know. But I'll tell you, Newsmax, which is a very pro-Trump channel, Newsmax had the old Fox guy, Judge Napolitano. He's like, this is insane. This is like... Napolitano, that old judge from Fox News, he was on Newsmax last night, and he goes, I knew Todd Blanche for years, and I can tell you that the Todd Blanche of 15 years ago would have laughed this and fired the attorney who brought this case. So it's obvious that we've got guys trying to become attorney general. Why? I don't know. Why he wants the stink of this? There was a list here. Let me show you this list because I thought this list was interesting. Hold on. Hold up. Hey. Because I truly believe that if you think that Trump is being petty and punitive, as I do, you better believe that the pendulum is going to swing back the other way. And every single one of these people are going to be indicted. They're all going to be indicted for something, any number of charges. Well, here's some of them, okay? Here are some of them that I've heard most commonly referenced as far as what the blowback on this is going to be for Todd Blanche. And as people can't understand it, Todd Blanche was apparently at some point a pretty respectable attorney. And you'd have to be able to rise to that close to the top in the Justice Department. It's not like he just got there, right? He's been a lawyer in Washington doing that work for years. It's just now he's in a position where he's being elevated and he's bending over and doing whatever he needs. So a number of the legal experts who have weighed in have mentioned these. These will be the charges that Todd Blanche knows he is facing now should the country swing. And the country will swing. Official misconduct, abuse of power, color of law violation. What color of law violation means is what we just did talking about the seashells. The color of the law that is being brought against Comey is to stop any true and perceived actual threats against the life of the president of the United States. That is not what's happening here. Nobody believes that James Comey is an actual threat to the life of the president. This is political prosecution. Color of law. They are not bringing this law. They are not bringing these charges in the true color of the law. Prosecutorial misconduct. This is absolute prosecutorial misconduct. You are fucking with the life of a citizen of the United States for no other reason than you have the power to fuck with him. Malicious prosecution. Yeah, you'd think that those two would be the same. They're not. They are separate charges. And every single one of these attorneys who are bringing these cases are going to be charged with one or all of those things. And this comes from everybody. Fox News. The attorneys on Fox News last night were all like, this is fucking nuts. I don't even know how to. So just stop it. Just stop it. And don't say, well, they brought cases against apples and oranges. The cases that were brought against Trump are because he is a well-known con man. Those are real fucking cases. And by the way, every single one of them have been adjudicated. And not well for him. But when you live in the world where you drink the Kool-Aid and accept the slow-moving coup that is happening here in America, You just have to say, well, that's the fake media because he told me everything that is negative against him is fake and made up, and everybody's corrupt. Everybody that says anything against Trump is corrupt. Stop it, man. Come back to us. Come back to America. What is this? Jesus, don't think, look, conservatism in this country isn't dead. That's not what this is about. It's probably going to be taking its lumps for the next few years because, like I said, that pendulum is a bitch. But conservatism isn't dead. There's plenty of normal people like me who have very real conservative leanings. But what needs to be killed off is the insanity, the nonsense that you people have made everyday life in America. Bringing second round of charges that they're bringing against Comey. Why? Because the first ones got laughed out because they didn't even file them properly. The lead attorney wasn't even in the jurisdiction. She wasn't even legally allowed to bring these charges in the jurisdiction. So that first nonsense trial, that went fucking nowhere. And the judge went, yeah, you can't even bring this charge. So what did they do? Did they get another attorney to maybe bring the same charges? No, because those charges were garbage. So they moved on to the next one, which is the seashell charge. 1 year, Kash Patel got up in front of everybody yesterday and said, well, we spent the last year looking into this. You interviewed Comey the day after he posted it. The government, the Secret Service, the Department of Justice interviewed. Don't you remember that big show thing? I remember. James Comey was interviewed today by the Secret Service because of a post. Yeah. It was like 2 days later, you had all the fucking information. What more? This charge says that you are threatening the president. What did you investigate? It is that the charge stems from the picture. The picture is there. It's his account. He said it's my account. What did it take a fucking year? No, this is just desperation time. Everybody in Trump's cabinet is feeling the heat right now. Todd Blanche wants to be named the new attorney general. So he's got to prove it to Trump that he is worthy of such a thing by bringing to justice all of the people who don't like Trump. Justice. Then you got Kash Patel. He don't know if he's coming or going. He has no idea if he's still employed. He's out there. He's trying to do whatever he can, and we will stop the illegal persecution against President Trump. None of these people have any fucking credibility. And you know it. I know you do because you're smart enough to see it. It's just that your ego won't allow you to go, holy fuck, okay, all of the purple libs were right. Like, you don't have to look at it that way. They weren't right. They were just on the other side. But you were wrong. And you do have to accept that. And I know that the ego is a bitch, man. The ego is like, how am I going to go tell my daughter who I haven't spoken to in 2 years that I'm a terrible fuck up? You do it because you love your daughter. You do it because you want those relationships with people back. But just admit it. Or I don't need you to admit it. And your daughter doesn't need you to admit it. Here's what you need to do. You need to shut the fuck up. There you go. How about that? Baby steps. How about stop retweeting Jack Posobiec or whatever? How about just shut the fuck up on social media? How about talking about your favorite baseball team? How about that, Dad? We don't need you to fucking apologize or admit that you're wrong because God knows that's a stretch. But right now, just shut the fuck up. There are still people carrying water. Now, granted, we do know now that a lot of them are the millions of bot farms around the world. All of them have blue checks. I don't know. I think, hi, I've been an attorney for 40 years and I've tried some of the biggest cases in my state. And I don't see anything wrong with these charges. They are airtight. Trump will surely be victorious in this. It's always a blue check. Always a blue check with 500,000 follows. I'm just a small country attorney from Athens, Georgia. And here's what I think. Oh, shut up. You're not an attorney. You're not even from America. You're from somewhere else, and you're trying to get stupid people to think these things by presenting yourself as somebody who knows what they're talking about because we're gullible fucks. All right, here, let me read you count one. Just so we know, count one in the Comey indictment. We saw the picture. We know it's the seashells, right? The seashell. He threatened to kill the president with seashells. So here's how count one is written. And this has legal minds, and I don't pretend to be one. All I can do is, look at all the legal minds, what they're saying, and then take the average and go, well, it seems like 9 out of 10 of these people. So here's the count one. This is the absurd count that everybody is laughing at, and people who've known Todd Blanche for years cannot believe that he allowed this to be attached to him. Count one. On or about May the 15th, 2025, in the Eastern District of North Carolina, the defendant, James Brian Comey Jr., did knowingly and willfully make a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States, and that he publicly posted a photograph on the internet social media site Instagram, which depicted seashells arranged in a pattern making out 86 and 47, which a reasonable recipient who is familiar with the circumstances would interpret it as a serious expression of an intent to do harm to the President of the... Fuck you! Using our Justice Department to persecute and prosecute political enemies, people you see as political enemies, because James Comey is not a political enemy of either party. What do you think, the liberals love Comey? Isn't he the guy that supposedly tanked Hillary Clinton's chances? Stop it. This is just a guy who isn't a retard limo or whatever you want to call him. This is just a guy who is looking at it through the eyes of a fucking bureaucrat. And of course, he's a libtard. He's like super conservative. He's always been a Republican. But again, he's one of those Republicans who doesn't have to kiss the party's, whatever party is in charge, his ass, because he's a civil servant. And I don't even know if he's a good guy. Like, I don't know. Whatever people say, he's like a Boy Scout. People say, oh, he's a good dude. Oh, everybody says he's a nice guy. Jeff Daniels played him in a movie. That means something. You put Jeff Daniels and you make him, I'm going to think that he's probably a good soul. I don't know who James Comey is. I'm not a nerd. I'm not a wonk. But I can tell you this. It looks like bullshit to me. It sure as hell does. Marty says, ease up on the make calling butternut. We try to keep it civil here. Oh, butternut. Oh. Butternut, here we go. Yeah, come to daddy, Butternut, you fucking moron. You're a freaking idiot liar. You stop it. Do you think it's possible for me to have a conversation with Butternut? Because I would like him to tell me what I just lied about. To my knowledge, I mean, look, I'm a pretty even-keeled, middle-tier broker here. I try to go out of my way and give credit where credit is due, but... come on, Butternut. I want to know. What have I lied about? Or maybe I can just move on. See, but isn't this crazy? It's like Butternut probably thinks I'm a liberal, right? Butternut's never been here before. He's never been here before. But because I dare to point out the truth about the con man that Butternut loves, somehow I'm an idiot liar. No lie, he's lying to me. Don't say those words. Butternut, you weirdo. All right. We'll move on. No, we're not going to move on. I think we might have something else. Look, this is I don't give a shit if you guys want to go back to you guys, right? I guess everybody's you guys. Who are them guys? You just want to go back to Romney? You guys want to go back to some kind of normal statesman kind of attitude with your conservative right-leaning views? I'd be open to that. Hey, impress me. Let's talk. But this ain't that. This ain't that. And I think you know it. You've just, Butternut has just gone full in. And Butternut has the ego issue that I spoke about earlier, where he can't possibly admit that he was fucking wrong, because that would mean that all the people that he called stupid are actually smarter than him. Or at the very least, were able to spot a con before it got into its second fucking term. Exactly. Butternut, liberal insanity. This is look, Maddie is liberally insane, right? And that's what we love about her. Maddie comes from the left. She makes no apologies. But again, anybody who has an issue with this corrupt administration is a liberal. That's James Comey, I guess, is a liberal. Dude, it ain't the liberals who are outraged at this. It is the normal people who are outraged at this. And everybody is in lockstep with this is nonsense and you're a fool. And we'll see it thrown out within weeks, I am certain. Barney says, I thought he was talking to Maddie too. He can go off on Pugs. All right, go off on me. You guys know how this works. See, Butternut doesn't know it. Butternut doesn't know that I seek out triggers. I want to be triggered. I do this show for the dopamine rush. You're the liberal. Oh, shut up. Yeah, well, if you were talking about Maddie is a liberal. But she ain't going to shut up. You tell Maddie to shut up, and oh, my God, the can of worms you just opened. She's going to come for you. She ain't afraid of you because you seem stupid. And whether or not you think she's right or wrong, she's not stupid. So, don't know what to tell you. All right, let's keep going here. I was going to show you Comey, right? He made a little Instagram video or a Twitter video where he's like, this is it, I'm going to fight and blah, blah, blah. It's classy. It was fine. We don't need to show that. Let's talk about the story that Sky News broke yesterday that everybody is now talking about. Boy, I hope Butternut's still here because here's some more shit that he's probably going to be like, you're a liberal. Got too many windows open here. No, that ain't good. Here it is. All right, so what? It's happening again. Access denied. All right, why is access being? Oh, Jesus. Hold on. All right. Yeah, I wanted to use look at the access denied. I wanted to use the original Sky News story because I don't like to use, other sources that then quote the original source. And I can't, it says access denied. Hold on. All right, whatever. We don't need it because we know the story. The story is this, and I said this yesterday and I stated it on Twitter. I don't believe that Cole Allen fired his weapon. All I have to go on is this shitty CCTV footage, which I just don't understand because I did a little investigating into that. And I said, well, why is CCTV footage always so shitty? Why is it when we have Ring doorbells, 5K perfect definition? Why is it that every time a 7-Eleven clerk gets his head blown off, we can't tell what gender the person is because the fucking camera is so shitty? Well, we had this happen again at the Hilton. We had an instance where Cole Allen, the lunatic, made a mad dash. He bum rushed the ballroom doors. There was one final checkpoint he had to get through, and he was able to circumvent the other outlying checkpoints because he was a guest in the hotel. So he was already inside the perimeter. Now, a lot of people have been talking about maybe the Secret Service should have thought of that. Maybe they should have thought, hey, what if somebody is inside the perimeter because they're staying here? They maybe didn't. I don't know. Again, I don't have I can't honestly and with any credibility talk about what Secret Service procedures are. I don't know. I sit there like all the rest of you and I listen to retired Secret Service guys on the news and they tell me what looks right and what doesn't look right. But it is starting to look like none of this looks right. I told you on Monday, the first day, I said, get off the Secret Service's back, man. People saying that there've been 3 attempts. We need to get rid of the Secret Service. I was pushing back against those people. 3 attempts? He's still alive. I'd say the Secret Service is doing their job. The idea that the Secret Service is somehow responsible for lunatics wanting to kill the president is a real backward-ass way of looking at this. The Secret Service exists because there are rando crazy people out there who at any moment might try to kill the president. So when this happens, you can't then turn it on the Secret Service and say, see, it's an example of how bad they are at their jobs. We got storms coming through here. We got storms. Oh, my God. Okay. Just a little weather warning. How'd you guys do in Texas last night? You guys had some weather last night, didn't you? Okay, Secret Service. Back to this. So on Monday, I was like, leave the Secret Service alone. And then we started to learn more stuff, and it started to look worse. And it's just like, okay, I can only defend the Secret Service so far, because all we have to go on is the bad, grainy CCTV video. Which, I can't, okay, don't get distracted by that. But there is no reason for the Hilton in Washington that hosts all of these high-end elite kind of events. There was no reason for that hotel to still have shitty 7-Eleven closed circuit cameras. And there's no reason for 7-Eleven to have them either. But you get my point. Shouldn't a place like that, where the president comes occasionally, might have better equipment? All right. So there's that. But we see that video, and what we can see in that video is Cole Allen making a mad dash for the ballroom doors. He was trying to get in the ballroom doors. His manifesto tells us exactly what his intent was. He was trying to kill members of the president's cabinet and the president himself. Those were his targets, expressly written about in his manifesto. He was the friendly federal assassin. Weird, right? Well, but this is what we have now. We have the Robin Hood murderer, or Robin, that's a porn guy, right? Robin Hood murderer now in our society. We've got Luigi Mangione, right? The genius who lost his shit. Again, why are these geniuses losing their shit? Because they're surrounded by us. And it's got to be incredibly frustrating when everybody you encounter is a fucking moron. I mean, I think that half the people I encounter are fucking morons, and I'm a moron myself. So imagine how many more morons I would be hit with if I were a genius. And I think that has something to do with it. I think these geniuses freak out and they're like, I got to do it. Combine that with a little bit of delusion of grandeur because you are intellectually superior to most of the people you encounter. And you've got Luigi Mangione and Cole Allen. Mentally ill, sure, but I think their mental illness is because they're so smart. Or maybe they're so smart because of their mental illness. Huh? Ever considered that? Ever considered that maybe it's the mental? Well, conversation for another show, I'm sure. Point is this, the video shows him running, the blur, running like this incredible combine 40 time through a whole bunch of Secret Service guys who, quite frankly, when you look at it again, they look like a bunch of dudes who are getting off work in 15 minutes, don't they? Like just before he runs through, like the Secret Service guys are all kind of meandering, they're checking their watches. They're like, hey, that chick at the reception desk, she's pretty hot, huh? They're doing all that stuff. And then this guy comes running by, and we see the Secret Service pull their guns, begin to fire, ba-bang, 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 bang, bang. We hear the corresponding shots from the video inside the ballroom. Bam, 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 bam. Right? As Oz Perlman is showing the name of, what's her name? Hot Amy Schumer's unborn baby. Bam, 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 bam. So we hear those shots. We didn't hear anything. It wasn't like we heard. It wasn't like bam, 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 bam. It didn't sound like a gunfight. It sounded to me like bam, 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 bam. Going back to the video, I see a dude running balls out because he sees the big doors to the ballroom. He knows he's got to crash this checkpoint, and he is running balls out to get into that door so that he can start killing his targets. Bam, 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 bam. We see the video. I don't see him shooting. I do not see Cole Allen shooting. I do not believe Cole Allen was shooting. I believe Cole Allen was making a mad dash across no man's land. More on no man's land when we get to the etymology of popular phrases segment. No man's land. He's running. The video shows it. Look, I just wish that at some point in the video you could see him turn and go, but we don't. We see a guy running balls out, trying to get to that ballroom door. I don't believe he was firing on those Secret Service agents. I don't believe he fired a shot. And the investigators can't tell you that he fired a shot. Here's what they're telling you about it. They're saying that we know that he discharged his gun, but we don't have the evidence to back it up yet. Actually, that's not what they said. That's misleading, and I don't want to do that. They said that we know that he discharged his gun. We are just in the investigation, and we haven't, recovered all the, whatever. We know he fired his gun. Well, we don't, and you're saying this, and quite frankly, you are not the most trustworthy people anymore. We heard bam, 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 bam. We heard what sounds like people shooting at once. It doesn't sound like a gunfight. It doesn't sound like there was a return fire. It wasn't bam, 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 bam. It wasn't that. And we see the video. We see him run by, again, like a madman, like the crazy ass he is. We see him run by, and then we see the Secret Service react. They all pull their guns, and they come from everywhere, and they start firing. Sky News yesterday broke that the Secret Service agent was shot by other Secret Service agents. The guy who got shot was not shot, according to Sky News and their investigation, was not shot by Cole Allen. He was, in fact, shot by another Secret Service agent. So now let's put this all in a nutshell, just so we know what's going on. And we're going to watch the video, but just so we know, this guy, Cole Allen, ran past Secret Service. They responded by drawing their weapons and firing at him. They shot their own guys. They fired 5 times. The only person hit was another Secret Service agent. They fired 5 times, missing the targets all 5 times. Only catching the target because he was running so fast and so furiously that he probably became a little bit top heavy and fell. You know how you stumble when you're trying to stay low? You ever seen a running back hit the hole between the tackles? Try and stay low, and sometimes you lose your footing and you fall. That's how they caught this guy. He fell. Now, you could say, well, he only fell because he was dodging bullets. Probably. But they didn't fucking hit him. Not once. They didn't hit him. They hit their own guy, and then they jump on him because he stumbles. So, my initial breakdown on Monday where I was warning that we all need to take it easy on the Secret Service, maybe we take it easy on the individual agents who have no control over how this is, the protocols are laid out. Maybe that's how we need to look at this. But there is something wrong, obviously, with the way we protect the president. We played Fox News, a Fox 5 in Washington, D.C. reporter caught on a hot mic while the dinner was going on before the assassination attempt happened. We heard a Fox 5 reporter yesterday joking about how there's no security for this event. The Fox 5 reporter said they've got people holding the doors open. They could use a doorstop. They don't have to even have people. And the people they have are girls who work at the hotel, not even Secret Service. That's what the Fox 5 reporter was joking about before the shooting occurred. Remember, he said, I think his last line was, they put a scarecrow out there, probably do more work. So I don't know. So there is something wrong. Sky News is breaking that. No American news is breaking this, but Sky News is breaking that. According to their sources, it is believed that the Secret Service agent who was shot, who's fine, by the way, he's going to be fine. The Secret Service agent who was shot was, in fact, shot by friendly fire. And there is still no proof that Cole Allen discharged his weapon. And I got to be honest with you, when they present me with the proof that he discharged the weapon, I'm only going to 50% believe it. Because you can only 50% believe it. It could be true. I don't know if it is because these people don't have credibility, but it could be true. All right, there you go. That's the big Sky News story there. We got to do a better job, man. We got to do a better job. We can't have this. We can't have our presidents being assassinated. I mean, sure, it's an exciting little news story and we all get in a tizzy, but man, that is not what we are. All right, guys, I need another cup of coffee. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick break and I'm going to run out of here. I'm going to get a cup of coffee. I'm going to go to the bathroom. My God, look at my crazy dark beard. That's right. I'm a man in my 50s, but I look like I have the beard of a 30-year-old. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back, hot cup of coffee. We're going to do the story that's really been bothering me. So we're going to spread out on this. This is a story that I told you about a month ago. And I've been wanting, like every week I've been wanting to bring this story back. But But honestly, I can't believe that we're going to update a story that I did a month ago. A story that I did a month ago that I was very upset about when it happened, and I am livid now. Okay? All right, I'll tell you what it is. We're going to talk about Lily Bova. Do you guys remember about a month ago or now, more than that, 6 weeks? I came on here on a Monday and I told you about this horrible thing that happened here in the Chicago suburbs. This beautiful little 16-year-old girl was murdered in her apartment 11 a.m. on a Saturday after she come back from spring break with her mom. They had gone to like a Great Wolf Lodge. Come back to the apartment. Lily, 16 years old. She attends Glenbard North High School, Glenbard South, Glenbard North. I don't know, the fair, whatever. So if you ever saw a John Hughes movie, she literally went to that high school. Shermer, I think is what it was called in the movies. She was murdered at 11 o'clock. In the hours that followed it, the police assured everybody that don't worry, this is not anything that the community needs to know about. We know who it is, and we will be giving you more information. It's all under control. Nothing to worry about. The father then goes on Instagram and starts shouting out names. The father knows who did it. The father's saying who did it. I told you this all a month ago. And then I think we got a couple of days into it, and I brought it back, and I said, I can't believe that there's no news on this. The police claim to know who murdered this 16-year-old girl in her apartment at 11 a.m. on a Saturday in front of her sister. And yet there's absolutely no update. Well, we're going to talk about this story again because a 16-year-old girl was shot in the face and nobody seems to care in her home. Not like she was somewhere where we could dismiss it, where, oh, she was out in public and it's a dangerous world. It's a 16-year-old, beautiful young girl, white girl too, which is why I'm like, where is Nancy Grace? This is like Nancy Grace. It is such an interesting story only because of the way it's being handled. And what I find most interesting is it's the way it's being covered. The media in this town is ignoring this story. This is the kind of story they would never ignore. So we're going to talk about why I think they're ignoring it, how complicated that is for modern society. But here we have a 16-year-old girl who was shot dead in the face in her apartment that she shared with her older sister. Cops know who did it. The dad knows who did it. No arrest has been made. It is a month later, so we're going to talk about what's going on here. We got some audio. We got some. So we'll do that. I'm going to take a break. We'll come back. Also, we're going to do the pop culture year thing, right? I told you that Bill Simons, doesn't matter. I don't care. Well, I should care. You know what? That was an ego response. Adam calls me out for my inability to pronounce that man's name properly. Adam calls me out. That's a shot on me. My ego is then like, I don't care. No, I actually do care. And I ought to give Adam the credit. We should also acknowledge that Adam is being an irritant in doing it. So, you're kind of a dick. But still, my ego, I do care. I do care, and I should want to get it right. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, more on the Lily Bova update. Plus, we'll talk about what was the best pop culture year of the modern era. Talk about word etymologies. We got some football. We got some baseball. We're going to break down a fight at Globe Life. You better believe we've got a whole bunch of show left. So give me a couple of minutes here. I'm going to go to the bathroom and get myself a fresh cup of coffee. And where the hell? There it is. Back after this. Back right now. Back at that bad. Back after this. All right. All right. We are back. We are back. All right. Sorry, I had to check something online before we moved on. Welcome back, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. It is The Rant. I am Pugs Moran. We do working class, normal people talk. We don't get delved into any partisan nonsense. Although I got to tell you, this next story I'm going to discuss, because how do I want to phrase this? I believe the story is not being reported because of fear of partisan nonsense. Now, I didn't say I don't think the story is being investigated by law enforcement. I'm saying that I don't think it's being reported by media, either at the local level, or I can't really blame national media, because national media will pick up on something the local media is doing. Very rare is it that national media, that, Laura Ingraham or whatever, will find this story from Dothan, Alabama, without it already have been significantly covered there locally. So maybe that's why it's not a national story. But this is my buddy James Parker, afternoons there on WBAP. This is a story that he should jump on. This is a story that I think that he and his audience, I think that they can discuss it in ways that I would not be comfortable discussing. But, I think it could be good for him. I think that it's an important story. I think that people need to start talking about this, and I think that something needs to be done now. What is the story I'm talking about? There was a little girl, 16-year-old high school sophomore named Lily Bova. Lily Bova was beautiful. She was tall, she was thin, and she was blonde, and she just had the whole world there in front of her. Lily lived in Glenwood, Illinois, whatever. Initially, the story got heat because she's a beautiful blonde from a ritzy Chicago North Shore suburb. She's from the suburb where all the John Hughes movies took place. All right. So if you want to try to wrap your mind around what her daily life existence must have been like, what the people she went to school with were like, well, if you've seen 16 Candles or Breakfast Club or Ferris Bueller, that's Glenbard North. Okay, that's Glenbard North High School. She went to Glenbard South, which is the high school right next to it. But it's the exact same. That's the environment. Suburban American, as shown to us through the lens of John Hughes in those movies. Now, Lily Bova, she didn't fit in. Lily Bova was not, again, I tell you, the story initially popped because she was a pretty girl from a wealthy suburb. Well, she was a poor girl. She was a very poor girl. She was a poor, pretty girl who went to a high school with probably a bunch of really wealthy, mean chicks, I bet. Lily Bova had a great high school. She had great grades, went to a great high school. Again, the area where she lived. But Lily Bova was an outsider in that world of wealth and privilege, the North Shore of Chicago. Lily Nova's dad and mom both have neck tattoos. You extrapolate from that whatever it is that you want. But, we are human beings and we look at situations. So, he's probably not a brain surgeon at Northwestern University Hospital. But I bet Lily went to school with girls whose daddies were that. So just to understand kind of who she is, she lived in a shitty apartment that was in the area of this very good high school in this very nice suburb. Even the nicest suburbs have an apartment complex where all the maids live. It's true. I mean, you can go to the nicest places in America and there's going to be some fucking apartment complex near the expressway that just doesn't fit. So that was her existence. That was her life. She lived in this very beautiful North Shore, ritzy, privileged kind of world. But she wasn't that at all. She lived with her sister in a shitty apartment, a real shitty apartment, an apartment complex that we now know. I mean, I could have told you just from looking at it, but we now know because of this murder investigation, it's infested with gangs and drug dealers, and it's the real world. It's the real hard scrabble world of people in this country who aren't making it. and they're living in Section 8 apartments. And here comes 16-year-old, 5'10" gorgeous blonde Lily Bova, 16 years old. Something's going on in her family, obviously, right? Because why is she living with her 22-year-old sister? Her 22-year-old sister has an apartment here in this shitty, gang-infested drug dealer apartment complex. And Lily moves in with her, not living with her mother, not living with her father, but Lily moves in with her 22-year-old sister, who, by the way, lives with her boyfriend. So it's Lily Bova's older sister, her boyfriend, and 16-year-old Lily. The boyfriend, we'll just say sketch. We'll just say real sketch. If you read the Reddits or if you read some of the comments, people who are there, boots on the ground, not to quote and say that anything read on the internet is gospel, but when it is somebody who's like, yeah, I live in the apartment complex here's a picture of their apartment from mine. When people like that start talking about shit, you have to piece it together. And when enough of those people talk about it and you've pieced enough of it together, you start to say, where the fuck are the police? Because when this happened, the police instantly said that there was nothing to worry about, that this was an isolated incident. We know who did it. It happened in front of the sister. The sister was there in the apartment when this happened. So the police in the initial hours and then the following days told the community not to worry about anything, that they know who this is. The father then goes on Instagram and says who it is. The father's like, I'm coming for you and I know who it is. So basically, the story that is not being reported, like the story that is just, if you Google search Lily Bova, when you see the initial report, and then you see that there hasn't been a published news story about this case since 3 days after the incident, you wonder what the hell is happening here. This is the kind of story that made careers for Nancy Grace. This is a gorgeous white girl who has been victimized by urban violence. That is something that every talk radio guy on the AM dial should be screaming about. But they're not. And there is no coverage. And we are now a month, actually more than a month. We are now a month after the time when they said, we know who did it. We're just, we don't want to alarm the community. And there has been no arrest, no reporting, no nothing. Every tree up there has, pink ribbons around them because they're like, find our killer. Well, they told us they knew the killer. The father name-checked the killer. He's taken that down, and the father is saying different things now. But this story is not being reported. Are you ready for the other shoe to drop? Because the guy that killed beautiful, blonde, 5'10", Lily Bova, all-American girl, the guy who killed her, who shot her in the face, is believed to have been her illegal Mexican boyfriend who has fled the country. And nobody is going there. Nobody. And I wonder if this is the poisoning of the partisanship that is everywhere in our society. Does Chicago media not want to report this because, well, they've just spent the previous 6 months talking about how ICE was brutalizing these innocent people, and now we've got this pretty blonde white girl who's been murdered by the evil illegal Mexican. Why didn't ICE get them? Well, maybe if Chicago media hadn't chased ICE out, right? This is the quagmire. By the way, all of that shit that I said, none of that comes from my heart. I'm just echoing the kind of arguments that we hear and why it seems like the media is gun shy in this case. Not only the media, but what are the police doing? Yeah, we know it is. We know it is. So I want to play you some clips here, okay? I want to show you this. This comes to us from Law and Crime. I don't know if you love this stuff on YouTube, but I do. But Law and Crime is dabbling in this story. Not so much or to the extent that I would like to see them, right? I would like to see this story get real attention because I don't give a fuck that the guy that shot her in the face is an illegal Mexican. I give a shit that somebody shot a little girl in the face and we seem to be not going after him because there are all these other political strings attached to it that nobody wants to get into. That's why I say, maybe I can't do this here, but James Parker at BAP, he should be all over this. James Parker should be talking, and maybe I should give James a call, and I will. But James should be talking to the father. James should be getting the heat this story deserves. Now, his motivation for doing it will be, the AM talk radio. Here's the dirty Mexican. It'll be that. I know that I can't get the narrative that I want discussed, which is what the fuck is the media doing? This, I don't give a shit about, they don't want to admit that they were wrong. No, that's a broken media. I am pissed at the fucking media. The media does not respond to what they think the response to their reporting is. The media reports. And if they're not reporting this simply because the facts, the way they lay, look really bad for anybody who said that ICE was doing the wrong thing. Now, I know that that's anecdotal. I personally think that ICE was doing the wrong thing. But again, my personal feelings don't matter here. We're just talking about the way this is laying out. Police are saying nothing. The sheriff's department is saying nothing. The state's attorney general is saying nothing. And the media is not peeping at all. But Law and Crime put this together. So I want to play some of this for you. This is Law and Crime on YouTube. They did a little story. We'll watch a little bit of this here. So it's not going to. All right, we're going to watch this, and I'm going to comment on it. We're going to learn some things here. Maybe some of you listen to James. I know some of you are nice, good supporters of James. Send him a tweet or something. Say, hey, Pug says you need to be doing this story. All right, here it is. Lily Bova. There she is. Nobody gives a shit because she's poor. She's pretty, but she's poor. And she was one of those girls that was with a brownie, and she's a white girl who was bad, and she got what she deserved. I don't know what the narrative is. It's disgusting, whatever it is. This poor little girl.
Her murder is a mystery. A bright 16-year-old girl found dead in a nice Chicago suburb.
This is now wanted homicide. They're armed and dangerous. It's armed with a handgun. Offender is going to be a male Hispanic.
Police are searching for...
That's important. That was the initial police call that went out when they got the 911 call. That's who the father on Instagram was responding to. How did the police, when they put the APB out, how did they know that they were looking for a young Hispanic male? They knew because this happened in front of the sister. And the sister knew who Lily was dating. And the dad knew who Lily was dating. And the police from the very beginning knew that they were looking for a young Mexican male who shot her in the face. And then crickets after that. It is believed he's been hidden out of the country. Let's continue.
For someone.
This is now wanted homicide. They're armed and dangerous. It's armed with a handgun. Offender is going to be a male Hispanic.
Police are searching for someone, but they won't say who.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is
the dad now, and we're going to hear more of this, but this is just the setup.
Be the worst post and possibly my last post.
The girl's dad posting on social media, sending a strong message to her killer. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime.
All right, Law and Crime. All right, we need to fast forward now because we don't need any of this nonsense. All right, let's go to the beginning, okay? Here's going to be how it happened. This is the 911 call.
Obtained by CBS Chicago.
Here we go.
What happened here? Retired detective commander with the Chicago Police Department, Will Svilar, is going to walk things through with us. And as we get started here, Will, I want to start with how this story began. Let's play this dispatch audio obtained by CBS Chicago.
This is now wanted homicide. They're armed and dangerous. It's armed with a handgun. Offender is going to be a male Hispanic.
So, Will, it's Saturday, March 28th. Spring break is just coming to an end for students at Glenbrook South. That's where Lily went to school. According to WGN, she was at home with her older sister in an apartment complex where they lived with their mom in an unincorporated part of Glenview. And then it's 11 o'clock in the morning, and that's when this 911 call comes in that someone had been shot. We'll talk about possible suspects here in a moment. What we do know from what's been reported is Lily's sister hears the gunfire. She goes into the room and she finds her sister. She had been shot, and Lily is taken to the hospital, and that's where she passed away. Just from the initial call, the time of day that all of this took place,
Okay, never mind. Never mind. I was confused because the sister and the mom look very similar. This, I believe, is the mom.
For the investigators with the Cook County Sheriff's Office, how do they go about responding to this? What is that like?
Well, you respond to, the initial officers are going to respond to the scene, aid the injured, arrest somebody if they're on the scene, and secure the crime scene. That's the first thing the first responders are going to do, the first officers on the scene. After you secure the crime scene, you maybe do some initial interviews with people on the scene. Then you got to bring the investigators and the detectives in.
All right. Let's jump ahead because they just explained to you how it played out 11 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. Here, let's start it again right here. Yeah.
Pretty quickly, law enforcement, at this point at the time we're
priority has got to get in there.
Now, remember this law and crime episode, please, and this is important, was a month ago. This is 1 month old, and you can hear the urgency, the way the host here is talking about this case. He seems to be suggesting that any minute now they're just going to arrest this guy because they are behaving the way we all did in the days that followed, that we thought they knew who it was. The dad seems to know who it was. It happened in front of the sister. So let's continue.
And aid that injured person as quickly as you can.
And it seems like pretty quickly law enforcement, at this point at the time we're recording this, an arrest to our knowledge has not been made.
And again, this was made like 4 days after the incident. This is a month old. And he's like, and so far there hasn't been an arrest made, but he's about to say how it's imminent because they obviously know who did it.
But as far as suspects are concerned, police say the community is not in danger. And that's always a line that makes you kind of feel like it was targeted, or they have an idea of who might be responsible, just because it's not believed that this was a person who is a serial killer that is randomly attacking people. They called it an isolated
They know who did it.
Incident. In the hours after Lily was murdered, police say that they were looking for a person of interest as well. They haven't shared
her boyfriend that everybody knew, and he was trouble, and he was an illegal. That's what they're not saying. He's dancing around it because that's the flashpoint that turns it into something ugly.
more information.
Doesn't matter who the guy was who did it. Get the guy who did it. I don't give a fuck about the attached political ramifications of this guy being somewhere here. This is why we got to get rid of them all. No, this is anecdotal, but this is a bad guy, and we shouldn't stop from us, knowing about the progress in this case or having some kind of satisfaction. Because if you live in the Chicago area, this is a real sad story.
On that, what stands out to you though when you hear those specific lines used by law enforcement?
So that this does not feel like a whodunit to me. This feels like that from the start.
They know this doesn't feel like a whodunit to me. It seems to me like they know exactly who did it.
They have an idea.
Law enforcement.
So that this does not feel like a whodunit to me. This feels like that from the start they have an idea who they're looking for. Now, the question comes in is, how does it go down? What are we going to get off the interviews from? I mean, was Lily able to say anything to the first responders about what happened? Did the sister hear an argument?
She was there. The sister was there. All right, let's fast forward. Let's go to, I think this is going to be a little bit with her father. This terrible, terrible thing. Oh, God. Here we go.
Good state's attorneys, and you get good felony review assistants. You work well with the detectives.
I think of Lily's family. Her dad has spoken to local media outlets. He's been, very public on Facebook with just what he's been going through for the last less than a week, and the shock of everything. The school, and what they're saying about just how special of a young woman Lily was. But he posted this video, and I shared it with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the worst post and possibly my last post. Broken hand. So I punched the wall. Some young punk from Piper killed my daughter with a gun.
All right, so some young punk from Piper killed my daughter with a gun. These are in the hours following his daughter being murdered. He's in the hospital. He's punched a wall. He's probably broken his hand, and he doesn't give a fuck. He is a pissed dad. He knows what's going on here. He knows exactly. He's talked to the other daughter. He knows. Now, I don't know what some young punk from Piper means. I don't. I'm from the area. I don't know what Piper is. Is Piper another school? I'm not familiar with that term. I've never heard it. But the dad here in the hours after the incident, certainly after, confide or being with his other daughter who was there, right? He knows something. And he's essentially saying so on Instagram. One more time.
Broken hand. I punched the wall. Some young punk from Piper killed my daughter with a gun.
And you certainly understand the anger that any parent would have. Anger, isn't the half of it. But when you see that video, and you're an investigator, and I'm sure you've dealt with families that are ready to go take matters into their own hands. I'm not saying that he is someone that would do that or would want to do it, but
for the record, he wants to do it, and he does strike me as the type of man who will kill the man who killed his daughter. Just me, just sizing him up. No judgment. God forbid any of us have to go through what this man has gone through. But no, let's not kid around. This guy is willing to kill right now. As I think, we had this conversation yesterday when we were doing, does a real man throw hands when another man touches his woman? And I say, absolutely. That is a Rubicon. You have to. And a lot of people were like, no, that's just toxic masculinity. Okay, I guess it is. So I guess in some ways I have toxic masculinity. All right, I'll survive. Will you? Can we still be friends? Because that's just how I see it. Same thing here. This father wants to murder this guy. I say, let's clear a path for dad. Now, all right, we're going to end it there because, again, that was a month ago, and that entire law and crime episode was about how an arrest is imminent. An arrest is imminent. An arrest hasn't been imminent. It's 5 weeks now going on. Here, I want to show you this. This is the most recent thing. This comes to us from a week ago. This is a week ago. Local CBS did an update on it, but they refused to give us any information about the process or the progress of the investigation. They've refused to name any subject. They've refused to even go in the direction of, and they're looking for somebody. This is how it's being covered. It's just all another memorial event today for Lily Bova. This is the most recent piece of news from local Chicago news on the Lily Bova murder from a week ago.
She drove.
Going through what once belonged to his 16-year-old daughter, Lily Bova.
This is one of my favorite pictures ever. I made them do popcorn and cranberries.
Her father, Anthony Bova, can see the little girl she was.
And gave me a copy of the Oracle. This is all the kids. One of the kids wrote this.
And the young woman she was becoming as a sophomore at Glenbrook South High School.
This is Lily Bell's in here, by the way. And
what does he got? Does he got like weed flowers on his... I'm not... Okay.
My little Belle.
Her ashes are now in this ceramic angel. But no one has been arrested after she was shot and killed last month.
This will be, reckoned with, and it's not my vengeance or fury. I'll pray for my enemy. You did this to yourself, whoever you are, with your gun.
Anthony says he understands an investigation is active with the Cook County Sheriff's Office. To cope with Lily's absence, he put pink ribbons on his lawn and is asking others all over Glenview to do the same. They listened.
Sure enough, the ribbons have come, like today, and I thank you all for that.
Another place we found pink ribbons was here at the Salem Walk apartment complex, where Lily's dad says she was living.
That is a shitty apartment. You can just tell from the exterior. That is a shitty apartment.
Her sister. Here at the Salem Walk apartment complex, where Lily's dad says she was living with her sister.
Can I just say, those are the kinds of apartments that I lived in when I was 4 years old. And they weren't shitty then, but that was 50 years ago. And they're probably still, like, not these specific apartments, but this style of apartment. This apartment complex was built in 1972, probably.
It's also where the Cook County Sheriff's Office says Lily was found shot to death almost a month ago, and she later died.
We asked the Cook County Sheriff's Office why no one has been arrested.
Yes, all right.
They sent us this statement that reads in part, Sheriff's police detectives have been working in coordination with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, who at this time does not feel there is enough evidence to move forward with charges. They continue to work closely with the Cook County State's Attorney's
Okay.
Office.
All right. They don't. All right. So why don't they have enough evidence? This is where I have the sticking point here on this story. They don't have enough evidence because the guy has fled the country, because he's gone. Everybody is saying he's gone. He was gone within 24 hours. And they can't extradite. I don't know what they can or can't do. But that's why they don't have evidence, because they don't have him, because they know that he's in Mexico. And if they make a big deal about trying to get this guy who was an illegal back into the country, it's going to turn into I just don't know if politics, in the crazy partisan politics that we are dealing with today, I don't know that that's not completely infecting this fucking story, and which is why that nobody is doing anything about this poor 16-year-old girl who was shot in the face at 11 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Probably had her hair in a ponytail, wearing a dirty t-shirt and sweatpants. You know how those kids are. Unbelievable. All right. I mean, it just seems like the kind of story more people should be talking about. And I understand how dangerous that is, because the way people are going to talk about it is probably not a real comfortable way. The way people should be talking about it is we need to stop with this whole idea that it matters where people are from or what they look like when they murder somebody. Let's just get the murderer and let the chips fall where they may, but we can't, because we live in toxic times. Let's see. Just looking to see if there's anything good in the chat room here. Wait, what's this? Do we have good news for April? Do we have good news? Had to step away for an awesome new job meeting. Now, do I rewind to catch up or stay live? I don't know. I say you stay live with us, and then you can go back. That's probably the best way to do it. Thank you, April. I hope to goodness that the job was good for you. Let's see. All right. Thank you, Al. I appreciate this. Al says, we're always going to be friends, no matter how much toxic masculinity you may or may not have. I think we all have a little bit of toxic masculinity. I'm sorry. Well, not all of us. I mean, I'm a big fan of Sean Hayes. I don't think he's got any masculinity at all. Maybe he stands up to pee. That's got to be good enough. That's good enough for me. All right, let's keep going here. What else do we want to talk about? We've got we'll do that. Oh, okay. So this will be a fun one. Let's lighten the mood here. I was talking about Bill Simmons. You know him. He's a ESPN guy. He's a writer. He's a terrific writer. He's a really interesting content creator. He started out as one of the boxes on Around the Horn. I think that's where I first saw him. He's one of them boxes. Then he would do some fill-in sometime on ESPN's Pardon the Interruption. But anyway, he's gone on to have carved out a significant piece of both filmmaking and content creation and everything. He's really terrific. And again, I don't think he's better than me. I think I'm better than him. I just think that he's got the backing. It's that ESPN backing. Let's see. So anyway, he put something out on Twitter, and I want to show it to you because it really piqued my interest, because I am, of course, the Gen expert. And I truly do believe, and I've heard this discussed before, this kind of thing, the mid-'80s in general, is that the most significant time in American pop culture history. And I think there are a couple of things that may have contributed to that period of time, the mid-'80s being one that we would look to as that, because of what we were all going through. It was the end of the Cold War. It was all changing, and we were winning, and it seems like we had definitely won, and it seemed like they were desperate, and changes were coming, and we could feel it. So we weren't living under the same specter of probable doom the way we were in 79, 80, 81, 82, right? Things started to kind of loosen up. We started to become a nation that was more driven by prosperity than by kindness. So from that perspective, maybe this is where the slippery slope began. But still, all of that greed and profit chasing, created a whole lot of really interesting things in this country in that moment. And as I say again, without a truly well-defined enemy, the United States was basically just sailing on open water. We were like, look at us go. You want pop stars wearing makeup? All right, you can have that. How about Prince? We don't know what he is either. Prince. right? That was kind of the freedom of the mid 80s. So when people talk about the most culturally significant generation, for years, many had said that it was the 1960s, right? But I think, I think now we can move the 19s. And so many people who came of age in the 1960s are now aging out of relevance. Sorry. And so now we're looking at, the cultural contributions that came out of the 1980s. And Bill Simons put this thing up where he was arguing that the specific year, 1984, is the most important pop culture year in modern American history. So let's watch his case to be made, because I thought it was really interesting. This isn't the full conversation. You'd have to actually go to the podcast. And this is from his, the Rewatchables podcast. He does a lot of content. But this is, all right, here. Hold on. Slow down, Bill. Hold on. All right, here we go. Al, hold on. I got to get rid of Al's thing. All right. All right, so here is Bill making his case. Notice I'm staying away from saying Simmons or Simons because I don't really care, but I do care, but I don't really care, so I'm not going to commit it to memory. Anyway, here you go. From the Rewatchables, the case to be made is 1984, the most significantly important pop cultural year in our history, modern history. Jesus, I'm so inarticulate.
I thought 1984 was the greatest year ever for people like us,
Yeah.
like with the sports, the pop culture. So you had Beverly Hills Cop, Ghostbusters, you had Purple
Slow down. Beverly Hills Cop, huge. Ghostbusters, huge. Purple Rain,
Rain, and the Terminator.
massive. Terminator, okay.
So you had Arnold.
I mean, honestly, Terminator, you're just naming random movies now. I mean, every year, this is a bit sketchy because I can name a movie from another year that I'm going to argue for that is bigger than all the movies that he named. I'll go one for one. Anyway.
Entrance. You had 16 Candles and Karate Kid laying the template for the 80s teen movies. You had
I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, 16 Candles certainly laid the template for the John Hughes genre, but I don't consider Karate Kid to be related at all to the John Hughes genre. They're completely different movies. They're both good movies, but they're different. The sensibilities are different. Anyway.
peaks of Springsteen, Michael Jackson, Prince, and Hugh.
This is a weird one. This is where I'm like, what? You are stretching here, my friend. Okay. Yes. 1984 was the peak of, we're going to cross over into some other years, just so we know. But yes, 1984, Bruce Springsteen, Michael Jackson, Prince, they were at their most hot, their most interesting, their most innovative. Huey fucking Lewis? Are you kidding me? You're going to make the argument that Huey Lewis deserves to be in the same breath as Bruce Springsteen, Prince, and Michael Jackson. Your case is taking on water here, Bill. This is not strong.
Huey Lewis. And you also had, in February, Billie Jean at Motown 25.
He's about to say probably the most significant television experience of my youth. No, because I'm going to name another one, but he's fucking dead on. He is right. I will never forget when I was sitting at home on that Tuesday night or Wednesday night or whatever it was, and it was the Motown. ABC presents the Motown 25th anniversary special. And you have to understand that Michael Jackson wasn't really Michael Jackson yet. Michael Jackson was still a tangible pop star who was having a run of hits, but he wasn't the weird giant Michael Jackson. And it was at the Motown 25th anniversary special broadcast live on ABC or whatever it was, where Michael Jackson debuted the moonwalk. It was the first time a national TV audience saw the moonwalk, and forget about it. Oh my God, Michael Jackson was. So Bill was here. He's about to say it was probably one of the most significant television watching moments of my youth. And I agree. It was certainly one of those moments where everybody was talking about it.
Prince and Huey Lewis. And you also had, in February, Billie Jean at Motown 25. Probably the single greatest television moment of my lifetime. Hulk Hogan wins WWE title. Jordan joins the NBA and Marilyn Lemieux joins the NHL. We had the first Bird Magic NBA Finals. We have McEnroe, Gretzky, Bird, and Montana in their absolute primes. We had the peak of...
You can do that for any year. I'm sorry, but you can do that for any year, and you can extend the primes of all of those guys into the year before or the year after. And you know, it's not like Montana sucked in 85. It's not like he wasn't as good in 83 as he was in 84.
Big East basketball. We have a Thursday NBC with Cosby Show, Cheers, and Family Ties. We have the...
Again, Family Ties kind of weak. Family Ties kind of weak. Just stop with Cosby Show and Cheers. Those are the iconic shows. Family Ties was a popular show and people like it, but it's not in the same category as Cheers, Seinfeld, Friends. Right? You wouldn't say they had Friends, Seinfeld, and Caroline in the City. You wouldn't say that because Caroline in the City doesn't fit with them. So whatever. He's mentioning Family Ties.
Started Miami Vice. We have Letterman breaking through the first slam dunk contest, Madonna's arrival, Flutie wins the Heisman, Tom Hanks makes the leap, Howard Stern, and the 84 Olympics.
Okay, see, Howard Stern didn't do anything particularly significant in 1984. Tom Hanks makes the leap. That's only impressive. Well, I guess that's what we're doing. That's only interesting if you have the full perspective of his career and what making the leap meant. Meant that he went from being a TV sitcom guy on a really stupid TV show to being one of the greatest actors of his generation. But I mean, that again, yes, they were significant things, but I don't know if they're any more significant. Could you say the same thing about 1999? Justin Timberlake became an actor, or Justin Timberlake I don't know, right? This is a good case. These are all arguments to be made for something that should be considered as the most pop culture significant year in our recent history. But it ain't the best one.
With no Russians. I could keep going, and there's like 40 other things I could put in there, but it just felt like, I can't explain it, but everything felt really authentic back then. Like Ghostbusters is a summer movie that it just came out. It wasn't like summer movie season has begun with Ghostbusters. Things just kind of happened, and it was cool to be there for that.
All right, there you go. Very interesting. I love that kind of content. That is the kind of content that I could chew on. Hold on, because I can't believe I just did this. Hey, dummy, why don't you just reflexively close the windows you're about to transition to? Why don't you do that, dummy? Okay, that's what I did. Okay, yeah, sorry. Here it is. All right, so we just went through that. We just heard the list, 1984. Let me give you 1985. And I'm going to tell you how I came to 1985 because I was stupid. I didn't just hear the argument for 1984 and then go to 1985. I heard the argument for 1984 and then said, why not check 1980? So I went through 1980. I'll give 1984 the edge. I went through 1982. Yeah, absolutely. 1984 still gets the edge. I went to 1983 and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to give 84 the edge here. It was bigger than 84 and then it wasn't 83. But then I got to 1985. How could he have been so close and yet so far away? Because I might argue that 84 was the second most significant year in pop culture for us here, a generation growing up in that time span. But 1985, man, there was nothing like 1985. Okay, so for everything that he just said, what he really didn't mention is, and I'll go a little bit deeper with some culturally phenomenal things that we still talk about today. Let's start out 1985. What is my case for 1985? How about Live Aid? I mean, I know he said that the Motown 25th Moonwalk was the most significant television watching experience of his youth. I can only guess that he was playing Little League Baseball that Saturday that Live Aid happened a year later, because there's no comparison. Live Aid is the most significant live television experience of Generation X. And we may not even give it the credit that it deserves because of all the things that came after it. Live Aid seems kind of quaint. Oh, yeah, they do that a lot now. But they didn't do that then. They did Woodstock like a whole bunch of years earlier. So Live Aid, 1985. We Are the World became a global phenomenal song. We Are the World, raising money. It started the whole, well, in conjunction with Live Aid, started that whole idea that celebrities were now going to openly be shaking the can for charities. That changed charity in this country. We had never seen anything at that charity in the world. A collection of superstars getting together for a single event. I suppose George Harrison did it for the floods in Bangladesh at Madison Square Garden, but Live Aid was transcendent. It was awesome. Live Aid and We Are the World. How about New Coke? I mean, is there anything more American than Coca-Cola? In 1985 was the year they took it away from us, and we lost our shit. Notice I'm not even going into the frivolity, the easy pop culture stuff, the music, the TV, all that stuff. We'll get to that. But there were far more significant things that occurred in American culture at the popular level than what he listed there in 1984. 1985 has Live Aid, We Are the World, New Coke. Let's do some movies. How about Back to the Future? I know you were touting Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters is huge. But I would argue that Back to the Future in that franchise is every bit as significant, if not more, than Ghostbusters. Thank you. How about Breakfast Club? Okay, there you go. 16 Candles and Karate Kid. How about Breakfast Club? Can we be honest about Breakfast Club? It is by far the best teen film ever made. Not just because, it was John Hughes finally getting some comfort after the success of 16 Candles to really spread out and do his style of film, but just objectively, maybe there's like a James Dean movie from the 50s that is a better teen movie. I don't know. I didn't see it. All I can tell you is that you can take 16 Candles, which is terrific, and Karate Kid, which is terrific, and you can go kick rocks, dude, because I'm telling you, Breakfast Club is better than both of them. All right. How about Goonies? Goonies. Look at those three. I just picked three random movies. These aren't even the biggest movies of the year. Actually, I think they might be. But I went with Back to the Future, Breakfast Club, and Goonies as our representatives, the time-tested representatives of 1985. Better than 84. Yes. He made a big deal about Hulk Hogan winning the WWE title. Cool. Is that what happened in 1984? Still, it was a regional sport, and most people didn't really give a shit about wrestling in 1984. Oh, but 1985, WrestleMania 1, that changed everything. So yeah, Bill name-checked Hulk Hogan winning the title, and that's great. But it was nothing compared to the global sensation of WrestleMania. Summer? Was that the summer? I'm not even a wrestling fan, and I watched that. Me and like 50 of my friends. Because you had to, because it was a phenomenon. Let's get into some music. All right, we're going to make the case. Remember, he offered Huey Lewis. Are you fucking kidding me? Why are you mentioning Huey Lewis with Bruce, Prince, and who else did he mention? Bruce, Prince, and Michael. And Huey Lewis. I don't think so, dude. We, in 1985, we also get to claim Bruce and Michael and Prince because it's not like on, midnight, January 1st, in 1985, those guys evaporated. They were still the biggest, most popular pop stars in the world, and they were ours. So, okay, so you can have them. But here's what I'll add. What did he say? He said something debuted. He said the arrival of Madonna. Well, 1985 was the year that Madonna became Madonna. Okay, so maybe in 84 she arrived, but it was 85 when she was here to stay. And also, not just Madonna. You know who debuted in 1985? You know who didn't exist before 1985? Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston, 1985. You know what else debuted that didn't exist before 1985, but somehow has found its place? It was a terrible show, but it found itself somehow in the place, permanent place in American pop culture. MacGyver debuts in 1985. And oh yeah, in 1985, we still had The Cosby Show and Cheers, and they were still the best shows and all that. So, but we also added MacGyver in 1985. Let's look at sports, because you're thinking, well, he talked about Lemieux and he talked about the Celtics and the Lakers, which I got a problem with, because he said, and it was the first of the Celtics-Lakers matchups in the NBA. It wasn't the first. It was like the 15th. It's just the first of the Showtime era. It was the first of the, Bird Magic era. But the Lakers and the Celtics had been playing for years And the Celtics and Red Auerbach, they've been crushing the Lakers' dreams since the 1960s and Jerry West. So yes, the series was restarted in 1984 with Magic and Bird. But it was 1985 when the Lakers broke the curse and Magic Johnson defeated Larry Bird. Way more important. The Lakers break the curse and Showtime is born. 1985. That's basketball. How about football? All right, just fucking, I'll move on quickly. 85 Bears. The 85 Bears. No single season team took over the entire sport quite the way the 85 Bears did. Maybe teams have done it since, but before then, it was like they were on every commercial. They were on Letterman. They were on Saturday Night Live. The 85 Bears. How about the greatest comeback in World Series history? Well, I remember watching it. I was big into baseball. This was the Missouri series. This was the Show Me series. It was between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Kansas City Royals, led by, of course, George Breton. That Hal McRae, that cool-ass Kansas City team, well, they were down 3-0 and won the World Series. Kansas City Royals making that miraculous comeback, one of the greatest comeback series wins in World Series history. So there you go. That's 1985. And again, just like he said, I could go on. There are 40 other things, but I think I've made my case that 1985 is, in fact, more culturally significant than 1984. All right. Yeah, I know. 85 is a sore spot for Bill because the Celtics lost because Larry Bird got in a bar fight. Well, I'm glad you pointed this out because, yes, that's probably not the only reason why he doesn't like 1985 as a young fan of Boston area sports teams. 85 was, of course, the year that I pointed out that the Lakers broke the curse against the Celtics and Showtime was born. But 85 is also the years that his Patriots got blown the fuck out in the Super Bowl by the Super Bowl Bears. So, yeah, he's got a couple of reasons maybe for not liking 1985 athletically. He watched two of his teams, lose. One of them in an incredibly humiliating blowout fashion. Let's see. What else do we have? Barney with a hot take. I like this. Barney says, Stand By Me is better than the Goonies. You ready for this? You ready for this? I don't know if I'm ready to admit it. I've never seen the Goonies. Never saw it. Never saw it. So what was it? Goonies came out in 1985, so I'd have been 15. Yeah, I think I probably I think when I was 15, I was trying to be 18, and I think I saw that, and I went, that's for 12-year-olds, so I never saw the Goonies. Never saw it. Stand By Me is one of the greatest films ever made. Stand By Me makes my top 10. Stand By Me. So when Barney says Stand By Me is better than the Goonies, he ain't going to get any pushback from me. Hey, you guys want to see a dead body? I love that. I love that line. I've used that line so many times. Mikey D with a cool memory from back in the day. He says I saw the Beastie Boys open for Madonna. Whoo! Okay, so should I tell my story? Why not tell the story? Okay. Yeah, I have one of those cool-ass opening band stories for you. Are you ready for this? So, 1991, I think it was. 1991, DeKalb, Illinois. The Red Hot Chili Peppers came through town. They played the University, Northern Illinois University, the Kegger Dome, I used to call it. I don't know what it was actually called, but the Red Hot Chili Peppers played up there, and we went to see the show. We're like, you want to go see the Peppers at Northern? Because, all my friends went to Northern. So we're like, yeah, we'll stay there. So we went and saw the Peppers at Northern. The Peppers were touring on Blood Sugar Sex Magic, I think, which was their really big breakthrough. So the Chili Peppers were the thing. We're like, oh, yeah, well, we got to go see the Chili Peppers. This is awesome. They had a couple of opening bands. But see, back in the day, at this particular venue, they would stack the card with, well, the bill, if you will. They'd stack the bill with a bunch of bands you didn't want to see before you had to get to see the band you wanted to see, right? So that was Chili Peppers. And what you would do at this venue is you just hang out in the parking lot and tailgate and party. It was college town. You could have fun, right? So why not? Hey, when are the Chili Peppers going on? All right, call me when they're going on. I'll come in. That's how it is. That was me. Hi, that was me. That was me. I waited for the Chili Peppers. So I missed their two opening acts, who were unknown. They were just unknown opening acts. The first opening act was a band called Pearl Jam. And the second opening act was a band called Nirvana. So yeah, it was Pearl Jam, Nirvana, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers at the Northern Illinois University Kegger Dome. We called it the Kegger Dome. I don't know what it was actually called. And it gets worse because they invited a local band, just a local band that was just starting out to get on the bill with them. So this band drove in from Chicago. So the full bill that night was the Smashing Pumpkins, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I only saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Because I'm an asshole. Because I knew everything. Those other bands, they ain't nothing to see there. There ain't nothing. So yeah, Mike actually saw the Beastie Boys with Madonna. That's pretty cool. You know what the coolest concert experience though of my life was? And this is one that it'll never be topped. I can't believe, I'm not even a fan of this band, but because of the importance of this band in my proximity to them in this moment was pretty freaking cool. Now I've told you stories about, I was backstage hiding behind an amplifier with Dick Hunter watching Bruce Springsteen sound check at the Grammy Awards. That was fucking awesome. Stevie Van Zandt was like 3 feet from me. He looks over and we're by the amp. He's like, "What's up?" We're like, "What's up? Can we be here?" And nobody said anything because Bruce is cool. Oh, yeah, let him stay. Anyway, Bruce didn't acknowledge us. He didn't see us. We were hiding from Bruce. But that was really cool. And I've told that story. U2 too, behind the curtain. Another one with Dick Hunter. We were behind the curtain at the Grammys and U2 was doing their sound check for it. And that was pretty cool too. But that doesn't compare to this. This was 1994. I was working in radio and the Rolling Stones were touring America. One of those big Steel Wheels. I think it was Steel Wheels. If you remember the Steel Wheels tour. Or maybe it was the one after Steel Wheels. I don't know, whatever. Remember, this is our last tour. And then 2 years later, this is our last tour. And then 2 years. And they're still fucking touring. We're going back 30 years with the story. And they are still touring. So anyway, this was a very big tour for them because it was believed that it was going to be their last really big American tour. And they were using Chicago as a hub, as a lot of bands do. Like bands will stay in a really fancy downtown Chicago hotel. And they will play one night in Chicago and then go back to the hotel. And then the hotel, they'll play the next night in Milwaukee and then go back to the hotel. And then the next night they'll play in Minneapolis and then they'll go back to the hotel. And then they'll play in Indianapolis and they'll go back to the hotel. So they used it as a base. And because it was the opening of the tour and they were using Chicago as the base for like the first 10 shows, the Rolling Stones were like in Chicago just hanging out. And this is when I was a producer at the Loop. And the Rolling Stones, for some reason, I don't the radios. I do know the reason. The reason was because of Keith Van Horn. Keith Van Horn, who was not the basketball player, the football player. Keith Van Horn played for the '85 Bears, and when he retired, he became a roadie for the Rolling Stones. Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? I'm just going to retire from the NFL and then be a roadie for the Stones. He's like 6'7". He was a left tackle on the '85 Bears. Anyway. So Keith Van Horn had a relationship with the Rolling Stones. Keith Van Horn also had a relationship with our radio station. So when the Rolling Stones came in, Keith Van Horn used to do a show on a radio station. Before he became a roadie for the Rolling Stones, he and a guy named Tom Thayer, they used to do a nighttime show at our station. So there was a friendly thing. So when the Rolling Stones launched this tour and they used Chicago as their base, Keith Van Horn contacted the radio station and said, "Hey, look, Mick and Keith and the guys, they want to play a live show. They want to play a show, but I know they got the big Soldier Field show on Saturday night, but on Thursday night, they want to do a warm-up show. They want to do it at a regular bar, just a regular rock club in Chicago." And the Loop set that up. And it was at a place called was it the Double Door? I think it was at the Double Door. Why? For some reason, I'm like, was it the Double Door with the empty bottle? I think it was the Double Door. Wow, 2 times in one day that happened. That usually doesn't happen. What was I? Where was I? Where was I in that crazy long story? Chat room, help me, because I'm completely distracted now as to why my screen went down. And I was riffing. I was just riffing. Rolling Stones. So they reached out to the radio station, and the radio station set it up in what I believe was the double door. And I got to work it. I was there as a promotions person for the radio station. You have to understand, this is the Rolling Stones in a club of about 50 people. Like a small club, elbows to assholes, as they say. And it was packed with the Illuminati of Chicago. Every pro athlete, everyone. I mean, they were all there. And it was a secret private show. And I got to see that. Now, that's pretty much the coolest concert experience of my life. Honestly, though, I think I would have rather seen the Beastie Boys with Madonna. That would have been awesome. Adam says he saw Blue October at the Double Door in Chicago. Because it seems like isn't Blue October is Blue October not a Dallas man? Maybe they're not. I don't know. Whatever. Cool. Yeah, I know. Adam's got some history. Adam's got some history with some of the rock clubs in Wicker Park around Chicago. My old stomping ground from back in the day. All right, let's see. What else do we have to do here? You know what? The age difference story. We don't need to do that. And you know what? The word entomology, the 86 thing, I explained that, but there's a whole bunch of other ones. That's we can save that. That'll go forever. Let's watch some videos. Let's watch some fun videos that I've got some comments on. The other day I was talking about, I don't know, why were we talking about this? Why were we talking about volleyball? A couple of days ago. Remember, I was like, volleyball. Was it because my son, now that he's not playing volleyball, he needs to find a sport? No, but there was some reason we were talking about volleyball. And I was talking about how volleyball is like the most underrated, cool sport out there. Yeah, I remember now. I was telling you about how we used to do the volleyball tournaments and stuff back in the 90s. And, you know, you had the Gabrielle Reeses and all those people. Anyway, volleyball is a crazy cool sport to watch, especially beach volleyball. Now, I don't know about, you know, gymnasium volleyball, probably just as cool. But beach volleyball, when you got two teams that are really good at beach volleyball, it is absolutely insane. I found this video. This was circulating today. It went viral. This is a beach volleyball match between two teams of chicks. And I swear to God, one of these chicks is the greatest athlete that I've ever seen in my life. These are real freaking athletes. Here, check this out. This is it's an example. This is beach volleyball played at the highest level. Enjoy this. You know what this is like? Just watch this unfold. Do you remember a couple of days ago when we watched the dogs chasing the rabbit? This is kind of like that. You just got to watch this unfold and just marvel. Watch that girl. That girl right there is like the greatest athlete on the planet. Nice. All right. Spike. Blocked. Tipped. Saved. Oh, Jesus. All right. Another one. Spike. Saved. Saved. Ow. Oh, my God. This is awesome. Spike. Nope. Saved. Set. Saved. Oh, my God. And there's your point. That is the greatest single. This chick is ridiculously athletic. Oh, my God. All right, so there you go. Beach volleyball. I'm telling you, it's pretty cool to watch, especially when you get a couple of people who know what they're doing. Let's see. Do we want to do the Globe Life fight? I don't want to spend the time needed for the Globe Life fight. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. But I do want to show you this because I talked about this the other day, or maybe I didn't talk about it here, but maybe I tweeted it or something. So let me get this for you. You know, I have long been an advocate in Major League Baseball for robot umpires on calls and strikes. I just think calls and strikes are way too important. And we've seen time and time again that human error is rampant in the calling of balls and strikes in a baseball game. And, for the last few years, we've had the pitch box where you can literally watch the wrong call be made because you can see where the ball landed in the strike box and you know that the umpire called it a ball. And you're like, what the fuck? So years of that has led Major League Baseball to institute a new thing called the ABS system. Okay, now the ABS system, I was telling you about this the other week, a couple of weeks ago. You get these old heads and they talk about baseball, and they're like, I like baseball before the designated hitter, and I don't like the rule changes. And, I sit here as someone who loves baseball. I sit here as someone who objectively looks at baseball and goes, this is the least interesting sport of the four major sports in this country. This is not the one. They need to do something. So I've been advocating for some kind of wholesale change in baseball for decades, and they've been doing it. For all the things that I hate about Rob Manfred and the commissioner's office and all that stuff, I will give credit where credit is due, and that is the changes to baseball over the last few seasons. Changes that I rooted for, changes that I advocated for, have been wildly successful. Yes, even the Ghost Runner. Fucking love it. You people go, what? Why are you getting a Ghost Runner? Because we don't want to be here till 2 o'clock in the morning. Do you understand that it's not 1890 on a Sunday afternoon and we've got 5 hours to kill? This is the modern world. This has to be a TV sport, okay? So we can't just have it be open-ended. When's the game over? I don't know. Fuck Saturday Night Live or whatever the hell else is coming on next. It doesn't work. And it makes the game over the years slow. This lack of urgency in baseball makes the game slow for anyone but the most ardent fans of the sport. Now, I love the slow nature of baseball. That's what I grew up on. But I do understand that my kid, who I've been trying to make a baseball fan his entire life, is bored to fucking tears by anything other than highlights. And that's baseball's fault. That's baseball's fault for keeping the sport the way your grandpa liked it. My grandpa would leave the house at 6 o'clock in the morning and not come home until 6 o'clock at night. He didn't have a phone. He didn't have any. My grandpa is not who we should be, modeling a multi-billion-dollar sport for. So baseball's made some changes. The pitch clock is incredible. Oh my God. Baseball games used to be 3 hours. Baseball games are 2 hours now. The pitch clock. The pitchers are going to hate the pitch clock. The pitchers fucking love the pitch clock. It gets them in their rhythm. It stops them from the bad habit of falling out of their rhythm because they're trying to mentally fuck the batter. The batter loves it for the same reason. You can establish a rhythm. And from a hitter's perspective, if you can catch the rhythm of the pitcher, you might be able to knock the shit out of that ball. So stop with the pitch clock. It's a crazy success. Everybody loves it. Now, the ABS, this is the controversial one because now, this year, we have a new thing. And it's so awesome. It is the robot umpires, but it is a robot in conjunction with the human umpire. And as I told you a couple of weeks ago, it has created a sense of drama that the sport of baseball has never had. Now, what they did, it's because it's essentially a replay. It's essentially the umpire called this a ball, the umpire called it a strike, and the batter thinks it's a ball. And so before the batter sits down, he's going to tap his helmet, which is the automatic challenge. And they only get a couple. And if you screw up the challenge, then you lose the challenge, right? It's just like football. But the problem is with football is that they take way too much time in football, right? Can we admit that? That like the replays, these fucking guys have their heads in these replay things for like 5 minutes. Come on, speed it up. Well, baseball does. Baseball speeds it up. It's almost instantaneous. As soon as the batter challenges, or the catcher challenges, or whoever, as soon as the batter challenges, boom, the umpire calls timeout, and we go to the big box, and we see it instantly. It is dramatic, man. It is. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect there to be this, come on, are they going to overturn it? But there is. And again, the reason it's so dramatic is because they speed it up. because we know it's coming any minute. So we are excited about it. Unlike with football, where we're like, are they going to take another commercial break? When we come out of the commercial break, are they still going to be looking to see whether or not he made this catch? So this is fun. This is an example of the ABS being used. Now my guy Mooney Murakami, he's like the king of it. He's the Japanese superstar who somehow found his way on the south side of Chicago. Murakami's like the best at it. He's like perfect. Everything that he's challenged, he's won. This fucker's got an eye. They used to go, he's never going to be able to hit major league pitching. Sure, he can hit the crap out of a ball that's thrown 89 miles an hour. This dude is leading Major League Baseball in home runs. He's got 22? Yeah, he's got 22 walks. He's going to strike out too much. He's got 22 walks. And he's 100% on his ABS challenges. This dude has an eye. Anyway, here's an example of what the ABS challenge looks like. And this is fun. It's how it's dramatic. So the crowd here, I'm going to set you the Reds have a promotion. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is fun because all the stadiums do this. So the Reds have a promotion where fans win free pizza if the team gets 11 strikeouts, right? So we're at the end of the game and they don't have the 11 strikeouts. I guess they got the 10 strikeouts and a ball is called. And I guess they challenge it. And if it's challenged and it's overturned, it's the 11th strikeout and everybody gets free pizza. Right? That's fun. This is a new fun wrinkle. So here we go. This is how that played out. I'm telling you, all of these innovations make it so much more fun to watch these games. There's just more weird little moving parts. Here we go. Watch.
Just missed. ABS challenge.
All right, did you see that? Okay, so do you see how that this is a catcher challenge? You'll notice the catcher goes like this on the top of his head. As soon as the umpire makes the call, the catcher's like, "No, man, we're going to look at that." Which, by the way, this should be so humiliating for home plate umpires. Because if you watch with any regularity, you can't help but be struck by the idea that they are wrong all the time. All the time they are wrong. We need to get rid of them. I know that this is like an easing out process that for probably the next 10 years, it'll be umpire and robot umpire. But at some point, these humans are going to have to go. So here's what you're looking for again. You're looking for the catcher. He's going to go like this.
Just missed. ABS challenge powered by T-Mobile.
The catcher has challenged to call a ball.
Stevenson's 1-1 tonight. Can he win pizza for those in the stands?
All right. So everybody in the stand, this decision... this is the stand. The fans are involved in this decision because it means free pizza.
The crowd ready to burst. That's a strike.
Look at this. This is a whole new 2026 wrinkle to fun at the old ballpark. You can enjoy your sausage races or your exploding scoreboard, but these things are great. And if you just think that they suck because it's different, then you're just old, and it's because you're afraid of thinking about new stuff. So let's see how
ready to burst.
All right, so that's a strike. All right, but he called it a ball, and the catcher went, "No, that's a strike. These people deserve pizza."
That's a strike.
Pizza for everybody. I love it. I'm telling you, man, baseball's coming back. Baseball is coming back. They're making the changes that they need to make. And, maybe at some point in his life, my son will embrace baseball and not see it as the incredibly boring sport that it is. He loves the highlights. Like my kid has baseball gear. He wears baseball hats. He represents as a White Sox fan. He walks around Play-Doh in White Sox gear. Hasn't watched a game in 5 years. Well, that's not true because we went to a game. But other than games that he is actually at, he doesn't watch games. He sends me clips. Hey, did you see Murakami's home run? I'm like, oh, good. You watched 15 seconds of this game in clip form. Folks, I love you. I hope you have a great day. And I'm going to get out of here. Got some other things to do. Very busy. But we'll be back tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow at noon. We'll all circle back here. All right, bye. Love you guys.